Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Season 3 of the World with Nate podcast. I'm your host, Nate Allison. Special thanks to our amazing podcast sponsors, Cool Fit, Nick Cool. He's a holistic health coach, Mattress by Appointment, Cedar Falls, and Katie Hine, you know her.
Yes, I sure do.
Brennan and Brennan Family Dentistry. I appreciate all of your guys' support. You're the reason why I can continue to podcast. Now today, this is such a freaking honor for me. I have Vicki St. James, and if you don't know that name, Vicki is now the editor to my podcast. That's one of the quadrillion things that you're doing. And I met Vicki a long time ago, 2015 to date us. And I had just entered school outside of the military, and Vicki was a professor of mine, you and I, humanities class.
Yeah.
But we have so much more to talk about than that. That's just a blip in the radar now. So I didn't really realize you were born in Wisconsin.
Yes,
and
La Crosse.
how the heck did you get to Iowa?
That's a really good question. So my mother's actually from the East Coast. My father was in the military in the U.S. Navy and was stationed in Rhode Island.
Explains your love for the military.
Yes,
okay.
I love the military.
Yeah.
So my daddy was stationed in Newport, Rhode Island, the home of the tall ships. And I love that area.
That's awesome.
So my mama was from Fall River, so 10, 15 minutes away from Rhode Island. They met on a blind date and had one date. They were married 6 months later.
Oh, wow.
He went off to war. It was the Korean War. Wrote letters almost every day. She fell in love with him, and they married upon his return from
Romantic.
the war. Yes,
Heck
so
yeah.
beautiful. So he's from La Crosse, Wisconsin, the beautiful bluffs. Granddad's Bluff is my favorite landmark in La Crosse, Wisconsin.
It is beautiful in
Oh, it's
Wisconsin.
gorgeous. So they lived there, had my brother there, and then when I came along, Daddy lost his job at the Milwaukee Road, so he looked around and he found John Deere in Waterloo, and everybody was going to John Deere at that time. This is 1959, and took a position there, soon laid off there, and he's like, what am I going to do? Mama says, Red, she called him Red because he has red hair, had red hair.
That explains some things,
Yeah, that
too.
explains my two sons with the red hair. And so she says, Red, I will help you take the civil service exam. I would like you to become, she's kind of in charge of him.
Okay.
I would like you to become a postal worker and deliver mail. And he's like, I'm all about that. So she taught him everything he needed to know. He took the exam, he passed, he did this his whole life, and he loved it.
Very cool.
Yeah, and his route patrons loved him so much that every Christmas our table was laden 3, 4, 5 feet high with presents at Christmas
He's
for
beloved.
my daddy. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so he asked me to make him some thank you cards, and I'm really artsy, so I do a portrait of him delivering mail, which he gave to each and every client who gifted him every year.
That is so awesome.
It was
and
fun.
to have that memory.
Oh, I love my daddy. You know, the winter he would come home, he'd have icicles hanging down
From
from
it
his
being so
beard,
cold. Yeah.
from being so cold. My daddy was amazing. He passed due to Alzheimer's, the effects of Alzheimer's disease in 2017. But my mama's still growing strong. Many of you probably know Mama T,
Heck yeah.
influencer Mama T. She's 91, almost 92 years old, and she's incredible. What a brilliant woman, right?
Heck yeah.
So inspirational.
Absolutely.
I see her every day at Pinnacle, and every day I walk out of there about 10 feet tall because she's so inspirational.
Yeah.
She just makes you feel beautiful.
And to still be able to carry the conversations as she does and have her heart in the place where it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Quoting scripture right and left.
God-fearing woman. Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I love it.
Yeah.
But
Thanks for
more about
asking.
you.
Okay. What do you want to know?
I want to know how childhood was.
Oh, childhood.
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
I have
it's been
so
a
many
while.
questions about you.
Okay. All right.
Because we've known each other for a long time
Yes,
now,
we
and
have.
I'm always the one doing the talking,
Yeah,
so I'm here to
right.
listen.
Okay, so childhood. So, So I went to parochial school, Sacred Heart Catholic School, very artsy. Started writing books at age 5. I have all those books, many of them still in my basement in boxes.
Very cool.
And one of them was very philosophical. It was called Our World.
At 5 years old.
About 7 at this time.
Okay.
And so I was looking out I used to spend a lot of time in my room writing and drawing, and I was looking out my window, and I saw this little boy and girl walking down my street, hand in hand. And the book starts out, in our world, we'll see lots of different relationships, but this one is special because they're touching, they're holding hands. I wonder, are they brother and sister? Are they cousins? Are they friends? What's behind this relationship? I'm 7 years of age
Wow.
and I'm writing this, right?
Yeah.
But that's how I found my greatest joy. honestly, I was a victim of bullying as a child. Not sure why. Many of those adults have come up and apologized profusely. I think it was because I could cry easily, and that was a fun response for them. So, mainly boys. And
At this stage now, that still has to hurt.
No.
You're done?
I'm beyond
Over
all
it?
of that. I'm beyond all of that,
Kids
honestly.
are mean.
Yeah, kids are mean, but I fell in love with myself because I was the one that I could go to at night and say, you're not all those things. You're beautiful.
I love it.
Right?
Yeah.
And I would write in my journal. I still have all those journals until the one year some boys stole my journal, and I would find pages of it over at Burns Park in Waterloo, just pages. I know. And how a person feels after all your private thoughts are out there just in the ground. So, it's been hard, but I was also raised with faith in Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Because I went to Catholic school, and we went to Mass often, and I would like to go to Mass. Sometimes I would just slip over there during lunchtime and pray. And so I had a deep relationship with Jesus Christ. And
From the very beginning.
Yeah, from the very beginning. He got me through all of that. And I had a dear group of girlfriends who were very, very sweet to me.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And they still are. We're still very close, my girlfriends and I.
I see you getting together with your Sacred Heart community.
Sacred
That's
Heart.
pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's very cool.
We've been out 50 years now from elementary school. So, yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So loving yourself from early on, that isn't always easy.
No.
How did you know how to surround yourself with that self-love?
Wow, that's such a great question.
What was your influence?
Okay, well, I think because I read a lot, even as a child.
Yeah.
Literature was huge to me, so I would spend hours. I would go to the Mobile Library. We had that coming a block away, it was Don's little Super Value, and then it turned to Ray's. So anyway, I would go down there, and Gill's was Gill's too, so it kept changing names. But they always had the bookmobile there. So I'd grab all my books. In the summer, I would have go outside, sit on my porch, and I would have 6 or 7 books with me, and I would just read. That's what I did the whole entire summer.
What did your parents say? They didn't care? They thought,
didn't care.
I mean, I would love if my kids were bookworms.
As long as, I was happy, they're happy. They don't care, right? This was in an era, honestly, where parents didn't talk deeply with the child. Like, you're kind of like, out there doing your thing. And they just want to make sure you're okay, and that's about it. You don't have, with my children and I, all the conversations we would have. So that, for me, that worked well because I had time to get to know myself through literature, prayer, writing, and painting.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and that deep understanding.
Yeah, anything with the arts and history, of course.
You've always loved it.
Yes.
Always been passionate about it.
Always.
What kind of books were you reading at that point in time?
Oh, wow.
Deep stuff, too, probably?
Well, Laura Ingalls Wilder.
Okay.
Every single one of those books I've read 1,000,000 times.
Okay.
Yes. Love them all. Little House on the Prairie, all of them. So beautiful. But the book that really changed my life, I got when I was 13. And I was in Cross Lake, Minnesota on vacation with Mom and Daddy and my brother. And they had
just
a
have
library.
one brother?
One brother.
One sibling?
Yeah, no sisters. And they had a library of all things at this little Cross Lake, Minnesota
On vacation.
resort. Yes, they had a library.
Were you the only person
Of
interested in the library?
course. Of course. Everybody's out in the water. I'm in the library, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I find this book. It changed my life. And it's Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte.
Okay.
Emily Bronte died tragically of typhus as a young woman.
Okay.
But she wrote this book as a teenager. You are not supposed to write a book if you're a woman. So she took a pen name of a man called Acton Bell.
Huh.
And so everybody thought that it was written by a man.
Yeah,
So that's why
it was then.
Yeah, it was okay. And then she died tragically before she realized how successful she was.
Wow. So she never got to have any of that honor and
she
fame.
never did. So, but what I love about that book, it's very sensual, and the protagonist, the male, is very conflicted. And if you ask 10 women out in the street. What do you think of Heathcliff? Half of them will say they hate him. The other half will say they love him. I love him because he's so conflicted and has all these issues. I'm kind of a fixer. Can you tell? Kind of a fixer. So I fell in love with him, and I've always been looking for my Heathcliff, I think, throughout my whole entire life. But that woman gave me, Emily Bronte, the ability to write my thoughts in she's very poetic and lyrical. So I could write my thoughts in that same way and get a tremendous amount of gratification and satisfaction from writing like that.
That is so awesome.
Thank you.
So we get through high school.
Yes.
What did you want to be when you grew up?
I just wanted to have
You loved the
5
arts.
children.
You really wanted to just be a mother. Mm-hmm. That was your whole goal. My mom says that a lot too, you know.
Really?
Yeah. She just wanted to be a mom.
Oh, that's precious.
Why 5? What made 5?
5 or 6 or 7 or 8.
27.
Well, I mean, I've just spoke about this with someone earlier, and I had all these dolls, and I used to pretend, my imagination would just run wild. I'd pretend, it was always a military thing, that my husband was off to war, and I'm raising all these children, and we're going through tough times. I would just go in my room after school, and this is what I would pretend until it's time to eat, and then I'd go back in my room and do this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Write it, draw it, be it. So that's what I wanted. Yeah, that's what I wanted. And then I also I think I had this, it might be a later thought, but I think I felt like women didn't have the power back then to do what they wanted to do. Like if I wanted to be a lawyer, actually right now, I think if there was something else I could do, I might be a lawyer to defend the undefendable because I feel sorry for them because every human is born, in my mind, good. And if they've done something wrong, something's happened to them that made them do this in some capacity. So I would love to have been able to defend the undefendable. So yeah.
But when you were coming up, that probably wasn't realistic.
It wasn't a thing. Yeah, right. It wasn't. Women were in the home. You were in the home. But I thought if I have children, and I'm sure I'm going to eventually have some girls, those girls can go out and rule the world.
Hell yeah.
They are.
Stories coming true.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
So 5 kids. How are we going to get there? You found your husband?
Sure. I found a wonderful man, Roger Smith, who is the father of my 4 oldest children.
Okay.
And I'm so grateful to him. We're always best friends. And he's been with his current wife for, 35 years. I love
Holy
her.
Smokes.
We all get together as a big family.
I've seen some of that, and I think it is awesome.
We love each other.
Yeah.
We all do. So, and Mel is a beautiful, beautiful stepmother to those children. They told me this all through high school. Mama, Mel is there putting up the posters, the pet posters when you're on the radio because you don't have that kind of time, but she does. So she was like my assistant mommy. Oh, yeah. Right? Yeah. I love her.
It was always a great relationship.
Always a great relationship.
You made sure it was.
Oh, yes. Yes. And then my other daughter, my daughter Rachel, has a different father, and that didn't work out, but that's all good. I'm grateful to him for my child.
Beautiful young lady.
Yeah, so that's how I got my beautiful children.
So 5, what's the age range like?
Okay, so they're...
Not to date them. I mean, you have such successful children, and I hope
thank you.
They're not embarrassed by us chatting about it.
I'm sure they're not. They're used to it. They know I'm very proud of them. So.
Very good. I know you, and let's hear it.
Yeah,
okay.
They're 24 through 41.
Okay.
So my baby was born, I was age 40, and when I had my baby, and that's the year I went to college for the first time ever.
At 40.
At age 40.
No wonder we could relate so well. I was 27 coming back.
Right.
Yeah, just knowing what I know now, and it just all makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, 40.
Yeah, I was 40.
And what did you want to do at 40? What did you want from school? Okay.
Teach. Originally, I started out as art education. And I was going to do K through 12. Right. Too. But then as counselor, your advisors meet with you. They're like, you're kind of a free spirit. I'm not sure that K through 12 is kind of proscribed. They're like, don't you want to be a professor so that you can do whatever? And I'm like, okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm doing it.
Absolutely.
And they also sold it to me as a shorter program because while you have to get a master's, that's fine. You don't have to take all those theory classes of education because, No Child Left Behind is beautiful. You want to do all that that stuff to make sure that K through 12 is successful. But stuff like that does not interest me.
Yeah.
So they were actually doing me a favor by saying, just be a professor. Don't teach K through 12. So that's what I did. But I stayed in school 15 calendar years. I graduated in 2017 with my second master's degree.
Oh, yeah.
And I started in the year 2000, the year my eldest son, Jared, graduated from high school. And
so during that time of raising these, 5 kids, while you were a single mom.
Yes. Single mom the whole time.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Coming from a house where I grew up with a single mom as well and a dad who disappeared. How'd you get through it when times got tough?
Okay.
What'd you do?
I just love to learn. I'm a lifelong learner.
Absolutely.
And so when my children were all in bed, that was my time to learn and read all those books, every single one of those books, cover to cover.
Yeah.
And learn and change and grow. And I just felt liberated, right? When I was in grade school, I would get like 98% on my Iowa basic skills, right? So
very good.
Yeah, certainly was intelligent.
Yeah.
But nobody in those days would encourage you to pursue, not a woman, to pursue an education.
And that is just so mind-boggling to me.
Right. And that's my wheelhouse, learning, changing, growing. So college for me was just paradise. I would seriously, if somebody wants to support me, I will go back again. I will go the rest of my life.
When I win the lottery, Vicki, I will, send you.
Really?
Take every single course.
You sweetheart. I would love that
I know you
so
would.
much.
I know. Yeah.
Does that answer that question?
Yeah, absolutely it
But
does.
one thing I wanted to say is to all those young parents out there, I read to each and every one of my children every single night. Media, back then we were just getting into computers a little bit because this is the 90s. But everything goes off in my house at 8 o'clock and I go from room to room reading to them. And then when they got, even through high school.
What was your reasoning for making that such a priority?
I love books. I wanted to share that with them. And I
like
think from what I could tell, reading, stimulates brain cell growth. And I wanted to give them the best possible opportunities.
I love it.
So even when they were in high school, like Jared, we would get books for him that were called Choose Your Own Adventure. I don't know if they even still have those.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Yeah, so they could choose that adventure at the end.
Yeah.
And it was so much fun. I'm reading to a 16, 17-year-old child at night, but we're having the best time. We're laughing, we're joking, room to room to room to each all of my kids.
Yeah.
And they all have, graduate degrees now because they caught the bug to learn.
I know. They are so, as a whole, learned. You have got to be so proud.
I'm so proud of my children, each and every one.
I love it.
I said Jared's name, but I want to say the rest of their names. So they're all included.
Yeah,
so
and tell me a little bit about where they're at now.
Oh, I would love to.
And about raising the 5 and how different they are.
Oh, they're all so different. Oh, and I love that. So, and I never really dated guys. I just would come home from work and say, okay, guys, let's all go to the pool. Or, okay, guys, let's all get on the bikes and go. Now hearing, sometimes they said it was a little embarrassing to always be with your mom.
Yeah.
I've heard that. That's all right.
But
it's cool. I didn't know.
You're never getting that time back either.
Yeah, right. So yeah, I would date, one and done. I just didn't have any real relationships because I wasn't interested. I just wanted to live, learn, grow, and change and be a good mama. Okay, so my children's names.
Okay, oldest first, right?
Okay, oldest first. Okay. So Jared Smith, superintendent of Waterloo School, 41 years of age, brilliant man, PhD, author, public speaker, travels the world with his books. Wow.
Speaking of books, I have one up in the corner.
And I saw that you have one of his books.
I'll have to get it signed when he comes on the podcast someday.
Yes, there you go. And people say, are you surprised that he's doing this? No, I'm not. Because this man has always been on top of his game. Always. And for example, Hoover Intermediate, they went through Waterloo schools. He thought it would be special if he cheered some of his friends on during, he was an athlete, but if it was an athletic event that he wasn't participating in, he brought his trumpet and he would play the Rocky theme song for them.
Very cool. Hell yeah.
Right?
He's been that guy for his entire life.
He's been that guy. So am I surprised by this? No, it's perfect for
him. That
is
so cool to hear.
Yes, I love it.
And the fact that he came up in this school district.
Yes.
And what he does for the school district.
Absolutely.
And his heart is so into it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And valedictorian, his name's on a plaque over there.
I saw that.
Yeah, I mean, wow.
Saw that.
So, yep. And he Yeah. Okay. They're all in their
Right.
own
We have
unique
more.
way.
We have four
Yeah,
more.
I have four more. So my next son, Joshua Smith, is chief financial officer, so the C-suite, CFO, for a company in North Carolina in the Research Triangle, and it is called INE. It's data analytics.
Okay.
And very successful, man. Very successful. Went to Iowa, got an MBA there, and started with Ernst & Young, based in a internship that he had at Iowa. But it grew from being, an accountant with Ernst & Young to actually being the CFO of a company.
Very cool.
Yep, and he loves it. And then he's given me my first grandson, Calvin. He's 5, and he's just precious. And Calvin just went to summer school, and it was, my son said, Mama, he went to an engineer summer camp.
I bet you freaking love seeing
Yes,
them excited
yes,
about learning
I do.
too.
Yes, it's beautiful. Yeah, and then of course my daughter-in-law, I adore her too. She, she's just incredibly talented. She works for the Big Ten Network remotely from North
Very
Carolina.
cool. Very
and her
cool.
name's Megan. Okay, so and then next I have Stephanie, and Stephanie is an advanced registered nurse practitioner.
All right.
And she's basically a bone doctor. When I broke my ankle, she took care of the
It's
whole
nice
thing.
having somebody who's medical in the family.
Right, exactly. Yep, and her fiance, we love him. His birthday's tomorrow. As a matter of fact, he'll be 37. Barry Wilberding, and he's precious. What a wonderful man. He is the daddy for my eldest granddaughter, Mackenzie, and then my youngest granddaughter, Kaylee, and she is 10. So Mackenzie's 15, she's 10. And yep, they live in Reedland, and they go to Denver schools. Denver
Very cool.
schools, yeah.
So you have them close as
I
well.
have them nice and close.
Heck yeah.
So I love to hang out with my granddaughters. As a matter of fact, coming up this month, I'll be emceeing the Leanne Rimes concert at the Gallagher Blue Door and Performing Arts Center. And so I got her a ticket to go watch me MC, and then we'll sit in the pit together and watch Leanne Rimes perform.
Heck yeah. What a cool freaking grandma.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I just
an
love
MC
it.
at concerts.
Yeah, and I told her, I said, honey, this woman has a couple of Grammy
If she
awards.
only knew, yeah. Leanne Rimes
Yeah.
is...
She says, she has actual Grammy awards?
Heck yeah.
I was
The
like, yeah,
legit
because
guy.
my granddaughter wants to be a singer-performer one day, so this is perfect.
Yeah.
So
Keep
we'll be
feeding
right
it,
in the
Vic.
pit. I know,
Keep
right?
feeding it, yeah.
It's just amazing. And then my eldest granddaughter hopes to, she's not sure. Her boyfriend is very significant in her life, and he's going to be, his name's Logan, and he's a sweetheart, and he's going to be a counselor, a clinical psychologist, and she may follow in his footsteps. She's not really sure yet what she wants to do. She has a lot of passions, but it's very cool. They're a great couple. I love them. So when I do family stuff, I always include him.
Yeah.
Because he's a sweetheart.
Family is very important too.
Yes, super important to me.
Yeah.
So, and then Jonathan, my baby boy Jonathan, he and his significant other just relocated to Denver, Colorado. He is an engineer with Cisco, and his significant other's name is Katie Check. And Jonathan and Katie are living together, and he is 35 now. And this is, I would say, the one. She is the one, and we adore her. She's just like everything we ever dreamed of for him. So, and she's getting her PhD. As a matter of fact, she's getting focus in both psychology and technology. So she's developing an app for postpartum depression.
Wow.
I know.
That's cool.
Right? So
Heck
he's basically supporting her so that she can do her thing and get that PhD.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
And being that they saw their mom go to school for so long,
Yes.
and education is so important in the family.
Right.
What? You still have one more baby.
Yeah, and one
Rachel.
more baby, Rachel. And you know Rachel very, very well because you both worked together at Texas
Heck
Roadhouse.
yeah.
You were
So I got
roadies.
out of school
Yeah.
and thought, why would I ever see a professor of you and I ever again in my life? And then I'm working with your daughter and you're
right?
there eating.
Yes.
Fate brought us back
Yes,
together.
fate sure did.
Hell yeah.
And my Rachel is
Absolutely.
every woman's dream. I mean, she is profoundly brilliant, but giving. So she's getting her master's currently, 4.0 student, and she's getting that
Not a
master's
shock at all
in
of any
I know,
of
no
that.
surprise. And I taught her 2 classes, and it's hard to teach your daughter a class and treat her the same.
I can't imagine.
I did it, but it was also very hard for her. One time she wouldn't text me back for a couple days.
Got upset?
Yeah, because I called her out, a little bit, and she's like, Mama, no.
Never had that before, but
Right.
you're the professor, not.
Right.
Yeah, that would be a tough.
Yeah, it was tough. But this
rough.
woman
But what
was
an
at the top
experience
of
you
my
guys got
class.
to have.
Yeah, she was at the top of my class both times. So you always have to challenge those at the top, right?
Absolutely. I don't know. I've never been around that.
Oh, no, you are a brilliant man. Let's talk about your work in a minute. Yes, my favorite paper that you ever wrote for me. But it's just incredible.
We're here for you.
Okay. All right. We'll get back to it.
Okay.
But Rachel has a 4.0 grade point. And right now what she does for her daily internship is that she works with the most traumatized patients in University of Kentucky hospitals daily.
Yeah.
So they're like top head to toe burn victims. They've been shot in the face or whatever. She goes in.
That stuff's tough.
I know, right?
Every day dealing with that stuff.
This is what she feels
Called
she was
to do.
called
Yep.
to do. And this one woman, she said this mother of this boy that got shot in the face in a drive-by shooting fell apart in her arms and hugged her and cried and cried. She says, Mama, that was one of the most profound career highlights. And this will set the path for so many more beautiful experiences like that.
Yeah.
And she's like, I know I'm doing what I need to be doing for the world in my little corner of
How
Louisville.
does that make you feel?
Oh my gosh.
As a mom.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, yes, this baby is doing so much. They all are.
Did you always know it would work out? Was there ever any doubt in your mind as far as, man, this is really hard parenting. This is really hard getting them through. Or have they always been great students, studious, love to learn?
I mean, yes, they've always loved to learn. There's challenges with any, parenting, experience. But I never once was down about any of this because every day was paradise. Raising
That's so
children,
cool to hear.
it's the greatest honor, and you know this.
Yeah, I love it too.
And it's fun. I'm like a little kid inside, okay? So the kid part in me was just satisfied by hanging out with a bunch of other kids.
Yeah,
right?
And doing fun stuff.
Fun stuff.
I'm the same way.
Party every day.
Yeah.
But I had rules. Like one rule was treat nights. Okay, you only had dessert on weekends. Not during the week and no sugar. Well, they still, especially Jared, he still
Sweet
does
tooth
this.
or what?
Yeah. He
Don't out
just
him.
waits for the weekend. He's like,
I know.
he
I
calls
see him
it-
in there.
You see it on
Yeah,
there.
I
He
see him
calls
in
it
there.
cheat night weekend because I started that with
Yeah,
him.
that's awesome.
And, it's just, I wanted children to taste like the sweetness of a banana or the sweetness of a carrot. Because some
Real
of my,
stuff.
real stuff.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
And some of my friends, they were feeding their kids all this crap. I'm like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
So, it was a challenge. They didn't always want to do those things, but they did them.
Yeah.
I was a strict mama. I was strict.
Yeah.
Yep.
What was punishment like?
Oh, wow.
How did you? I know that's
Yeah,
tough.
punishment. Man, I'm just tough. Well, I'll tell you what. Dr. James Dobson, he may be controversial to some of you, but I read all of his books on parenting and I followed suit. And that was lots of love and attention one-on-one. But you don't allow any kind of backtalk. You don't allow any kind of just refusing to do what you say. So you start taking away these privileges.
Privileges, okay.
Yes, privileges.
All right.
And don't back down. So yeah.
I love that.
I know, right?
Hearing that.
Yeah. So don't ever back down. And taking away the phone, taking away the car, taking away whatever you're grounded for, 4 or 5 days. You're not going out with the friends, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were a
please do
stickler with it.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I never back down.
No.
So please do that, friends. Don't be afraid to be tough with those kiddos. Because look, obviously
Yeah.
it worked.
Something worked.
Yeah, it worked.
And that was part of the plan. Yeah. Heck yeah. And you said also that technology and stuff went off at a certain time.
Yes, 8:00. Everything went off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that, so your oldest kids probably didn't have as much access and stuff, but like Rachel,
She had to wait till she was 13 to get a phone.
that was your ruling?
Yeah, and all of her friends had them.
Before? Mm-hmm. See, now that's something that people my age are going to be able to immediately relate to.
Yeah.
Because even at 9, Vicki,
Right.
9 and 10.
Yeah, never. I would never let a child have that. No.
What is your, I'm a hell no as
Yeah,
well.
hell no.
Why are you so against it?
Oh, wow. Watch The Social Dilemma. Oh, it's frightening.
Yeah.
The bullying, the everything that goes on. And
It goes on. It went on when you were a child, let alone.
Right. I was bullied, but I could go home and be in my
Escape.
safe environment and escape from all of that. Yes, they might call and leave a crank phone number, which they did frequently. But anyway, whatever, I was still safe in my home.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure that my children always felt safe. And the other thing is I wanted them to, create, like, where are our thinkers today? Because they're like this with the phone.
Absolutely,
right?
Vicki.
I didn't want any of that for my children. I wanted them to think and grow. And how about the pyramids, for God's sake? You could never build a pyramid with these phones, right? There's no way.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, I saw the priorities that I wanted for my
I like
children.
that.
Yep, and I just made that happen. But I dated my children. I called it dating, and they would get, once a week, I'd switch child, and it would be for the whole night. We do whatever they want. And I'd pick, we go out at 5 and come home at late, like 10, like past bedtime.
Yeah.
And it was just the two of us, whichever child they'd just rotate. And they would play this song game, and they loved it, where I would turn on the radio as we're driving around talking, turn on the radio, and whoever could guess, you have to guess the name of the song, the artist, and if it's a tiebreaker, it's the album.
Oh,
and then
wow.
I know, right? And then we collected points, and then at the end of all that, they'd get a prize of sorts.
Okay. You were such a fun mom.
Well, we just
My
had
kids are
fun.
going to like to, yeah.
We just had fun. So I think, it's a combination of love, affection, respect, one-on-one connection, and then being tough, to be a successful parent. And I loved every minute of it, and I still do.
That one-on-one time.
Yep.
It's so important,
Yes,
isn't it?
so important.
Yeah. If they don't feel valued as individuals,
Right.
it just, in big families, it just doesn't work very well.
And like you'd said earlier, they're also different.
Yeah.
And I love that. Their personalities are also unique.
And like in your case, 4 have the exact same dad, and they are probably completely different, each one.
Yes, but the one thing they all have is love and respect.
Yeah.
Love and respect for their fellow man and woman.
Don't you think they saw that from an early
Yeah,
age?
and then also my parents, too. I got to credit my mom and daddy. Every spring break, they would take my children for the whole week. Just what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And take them to Minneapolis. Oh, I could take a deep breath. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh. And they would teach them, a lot up there. Like I remember Jared saying, yeah, Grandpa at age like 65 or whatever, he's picking up a tennis racket saying, let's go play tennis.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I can't
That
just
is
take
awesome.
And then they have a wonderful father,
Yeah.
too. The first 4. Wonderful father. And Jared was the father figure for Rachel, basically.
Yeah.
He walked her down the aisle when she got married.
Yeah, that is awesome
It's all good.
to have that
I mean, I'm grateful to her father for Rachel, but yeah.
for the beautiful life.
Yeah, for the beautiful life.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Going back to school at 40, it posed, a scheduling nightmare, I'm sure, getting places where you had to be, you worked too on top of all this?
Absolutely. I've always worked while I went to school. So,
What sort of jobs have you done? Because I know a few.
Yeah.
So what sort of things do you love to do?
well, fitness instruction, Tri-City Taekwondo and fitness.
From back in the
Yeah,
day?
Russ O'Connell.
Yeah.
And then I went from there to the YMCA. And what I liked about the Y is that, all my children could be in various things while I'm doing my
Yeah.
thing. So that worked out
Worked
really,
well.
really well for
Yeah.
me. So my kids are all Y kids, and I taught everything imaginable. I think my favorite class to teach, though, is prenatal aerobics
Okay.
with those mamas. And we continue to have reunions. We haven't had one in a while, but those kids are all in college with their own children.
That's awesome.
That the mama had while I was teaching them prenatal aerobics. So it's like so surreal when we get together.
yeah.
So, and then I decided, I was teaching aerobics, and one of my, John Focht, amazing man. Everybody knows John. He's a former principal from the Cedar Falls schools, and now retired. And he was in my class. He was one of the older ones. He was maybe in his
Taking
50s.
one of your courses?
Yeah, a
Okay.
6 a.m. class. He walks up to me. He's like, Vicki, you need to be in broadcasting. I'm like, oh, okay.
Never had thought about it.
No, never once.
Yeah.
Never once. So I treat him to lunch as often as I still can to thank him.
Still to this day?
Still to this
That's
day.
so awesome,
and I just
Vicki.
saw him I just saw him 2 days ago. We're going to get together. We're going to Godfather's. That's our favorite place to hang out. So anyway, I said,
Very
I would
cool.
love to be in broadcasting, but I'm a mama with all these little kids. I just teach aerobics. I've never been to school. I don't know how I would do that. And he's like, you don't need a degree to be in broadcasting. He's like, you've got enunciation. You've got the vocabulary. You're fun to listen to. He said, I have a friend who works for an ad agency. Why don't you, I'll talk to him. You call him up. So I called him up. He said, come in tomorrow. We're doing a commercial shoot. We'll maybe use you. And I assumed there'd be like a whole bunch of people waiting to be tried out for this role.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, you come here. Do you want to be Porter's Chemo Warehouse outlet voice for the next year or two? And I said, I do.
Sure.
So that's what I did.
Very cool.
And I'm raising all these children, and I'm going to college. I'm doing all this stuff, right?
And the voice on the radio?
Yes.
Is what
yes.
It was?
So what I did, well, no, it was for a voiceover for television and radio. It was the voice.
Okay.
And so what I did was I took all those commercials, put them on a cassette, because we didn't have CDs yet, put them on a cassette, wrote a cover letter, sent it out to all the radio stations in the area, in Iowa, within a 2-hour range, and went around and interviewed. But my son Jared said, Mama, you haven't even tried my favorite radio station, Talk Radio, 1250 AM.
Okay.
He's all of 10 years old, and he listens to talk radio, right? I said, honey, I guess I didn't realize there was a local talk radio station. He's like, yeah, my favorite's in Cedar Falls, Colaf Media. Why don't you look it up in the phone book? So
wild.
I did. So I went out there. He hired me on the spot. He's like, we're going to open a brand new station, Mix 96, in the next year, and I want you to be my midday music maven. I said, all I've ever done is voiceovers for commercials. It's like, I know you have what it takes. You're hired.
Were you nervous at all, or
No.
you knew you could do it?
I was nervous.
Gosh, I love that. I need to take some of that, Vicki.
So I did that for a decade. 10 years I had the midday music maven shift, 10 to 2 Monday through Friday, a Mix 96 award-winning station. Loved it. But that's when I got the bug to go to school, to college, to be a professor. So so that's what I did. I quit the radio. And
After 10 years of doing it.
Yeah, after 10 years of doing
That's
it.
a long time to do anything.
Yeah, right. So you can see why I came back to radio, because I
Absolutely.
always loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it
It's
so
a good
much.
fit.
Yeah,
Great.
it's a good fit.
You have so much energy.
Yeah, so I taught at UNI Wartburg, Hawkeye, Hudson High, West High, and I loved every minute of it. And I had the honor and the pleasure of teaching you. And I've never told you my favorite paper that you've written.
We don't need to do all that.
It was about New Year's Day at the gym. Is
I
this
can't
coming
even
back to you?
No, not at all.
You're like, it's this creative paper, and I was in tears because it was so beautiful.
For real?
Yes.
Well, that's a special place to me, as you know.
Oh,
a lot
the
of work
gym.
gets done there.
But you engaged all the senses: sight, sound, hearing, touching.
You're going to make me blush.
Everything. And that's when we had our one-on-one, because I would have one-on-ones with all my students every semester.
I think I know where this is at.
Yeah.
Now.
And I said, well, what do you want to do with your life? And I
was bullshitting.
You were bullshitting?
I thought I was. Vicki,
No.
I had no way of... I said I wanted to be a writer.
Right. Yes,
Yes.
you did. And I said, you should be a writer.
I know.
Because this reason, and this reason. And we talked about it at length, because you're so brilliant. And now I have the honor and the pleasure of reading your work at least twice a month.
Yeah, you're my editor
I'm
for
your
everything in the podcast.
The first time, however, when I first handed you in college back your first paper, and I used to use a purple pen because it was you and I, and you said, it's a sea of purple. Remember that?
It came a long way.
But I'll tell you
Thankful
what,
for
you
you.
listened well, and you took that, constructive criticism to heart, and you changed it, and you
appreciate
brought
that.
something to the table that very few writers bring:
I appreciate that, Vicki.
passion,
Means a lot to
joy,
me.
engagement with your reader.
I appreciate that.
So thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, when I said that to you,
You were
I
bullshitting?
I enjoy writing. I've always
good.
loved it. I've always loved it, and it feeds something inside of me, as you know.
Yes, of course.
But back then, when I was just like, wow, what could I do? This sounds cool. And you were like, yeah, I think you
Yes.
should. And
Yes,
then
you
that
should.
was the first spark.
Yes.
Yeah.
But now you do a multifaceted career.
Well,
Yes, where you're speaking, you're writing, you're
love
doing it all, and you're drawing out stories, which is so beautiful.
I appreciate that.
It's an honor for me to be here with you.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to finally
Thank
have
you.
you. I mean,
Thank
it
you.
was always coming.
Yeah.
It was just a matter of us taking the time to sit down.
Absolutely.
Because I appreciate so much what you've given me.
Oh, thank
so
you
much.
so much, Nate.
Yeah. So You go to college.
I go to
you
college.
Get those degrees done.
3 of them.
Why? Yeah. Why the continued education? Continue.
Well,
what are the degrees then? So you have a bachelor's and 2 master's
yes,
degrees.
that is correct. So I have a bachelor's degree in studio art.
Okay.
And I have a master's degree in languages and literatures. And
Very
I have,
fitting.
yes, and I love that, of course, with the reading. It's perfect.
Absolutely.
And, well, as a child, back to the art, I did portraits for $50 a piece starting in
Wow.
1974.
Yeah.
And I did this as my job. I made a considerable amount of money.
What you
and
needed to.
people would come to me and say, and I'm still doing portraits from time to time. One of my dear friends who just passed, I'd done portraits, Brad Hart, beautiful man. I'd done portraits of his 3 daughters when they were little girls, and now they're all in their 30s.
Very cool.
And he also said to me at one point, Vicki, you've done my daughters. Now I want you to do a portrait of myself with all my golfing icons, Jack Nicklaus, Tom Watson. We're all going to be as if golfing together.
That's cool.
At St. Andrews, the biggest place to
Yeah.
golf. And I did it. And he says, Vicki, I don't cry much, but I cry. When I took a peek, when his beautiful wife Lisa
is
took it home
awesome.
framed, he cried.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I mean, rest in peace, sweetheart. We miss you and we love you. He's got beautiful daughters, and one of them works where my mama is a resident at Pinnacle.
Full circle.
Isn't that the coolest thing
Yeah.
ever?
Yeah.
Her name is Brooke.
Don't you love
sweetheart.
being in this community?
I
and
do.
You've been here a long time and made a huge impact. And now to get to
Yes.
see some of that thing.
Yes.
Like you were saying, these kids are now completely grown who
Right.
you taught their mom.
Yes.
That's wild.
Yeah,
That's
it's
cool to
just
hear.
beautiful. It's so beautiful. So yeah, studio art. I had everybody thought I should go to college for art because that's what I did in high school, and I did. But you know what I found actually. You know, before I went, my art instructor has since passed, from high school at Columbus. He says, Vicki, when you get into the art studio, you'll be in heaven, but you have to push through those gen eds. What I found is I love the gen eds, and I had to push through the art.
Really?
Yeah, and it was the total
Backwards, huh?
opposite because it wasn't stimulating enough for me. Do you know what I mean?
It wasn't like what you wanted to do?
I just wanted to learn and grow. And while you're drawing, yes, you're expressing and you're painting, you're expressing, but I'm not learning. So I would put on like a podcast or something like that to listen to, but I just wanted more. So, I mean, I got the BA, but I knew that I wanted more. So that's when I went to do the language and literature because I love to write.
And that was
and
at
read.
what point you had, how old were your kids?
Yeah. So I started honestly, I went with Jared to a number of campus visits, but when we went to UNI together, I loved the campus so much. I'm like, I want to go to school here. That's
You
how it
had
started.
those thoughts?
Yeah, that's
Isn't
what
that
Yep.
cool?
And
That
so
is
I signed
wild.
up right after he did. Right up, right then, like the next week that I'm a
Wow.
student there. So
Yeah.
that's how
You
that
just
started.
finally
Yeah.
found the strength to make it happen?
Yep.
Were you worried about funding it? I mean, our education nowadays is. But being a single mom,
It's all good. I have student loans.
you just freaking.
I pay them off
Yeah.
eventually.
Yeah.
You pay them. You got
You
to.
just figure it
They'll
out.
garnish your wages. You don't pay them, so I'm paying them. But I don't care. It's the best gift I ever gave
I
myself.
love that.
Truly is. So then I got so I went to school from 2000 to 2009, got my first BA because I'm going half-time, 2 classes a semester while working and raising the 5 children.
Yeah. Did you feel swamped or did you just love every minute
I
of
loved
it?
every minute of it. I never felt swamped.
That is awesome.
I love taking tests. I always have. Tests are my thing.
No.
No, they are. They're my thing. I don't know. It's just, I just love that stuff.
I think you have a perfect framework and mentality is what it is.
Thank you.
I think you look at it as a way to express the things you've learned, which is the right way. And
Exactly.
that's a great way to
Right. I
Me,
do.
it's a test.
Oh, I loved it. Just, I don't know. It's my favorite thing ever is take tests. And when I was
You've always been successful too, probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when I was in
Gosh.
elementary school, they had me help the little ones who were scared
Heck
to
yeah.
take their tests.
Very
I
cool.
would counsel them. And they're in my grade, but I
Yeah.
would counsel them. You got this.
Yeah.
You can do it.
Heck yeah.
And I loved all that. So yeah, so then I went from 2000 to 2009, got that first BA in art, studio art.
Taking 2 classes at a time.
2 classes
while you're
at a
doing
time.
all the
Yep.
grind.
Yep. And then right away that year, 2009, I couldn't get enough of it, so I enrolled that fall. had the 1 degree, then I enrolled that fall in the language and literature's master's
What did
program.
your advisors and things think or say? Anything?
They kept saying you're going to get burnt out. They were worried. They're like, try to see if you can do this full time. Like, if you can just quit your job. No, I can't. I have all these children that I'm caring for. I can't. They're like, you'll never make it. We'll feel bad because you'll never. No, I never felt burnt out.
Never.
It was good. So no advisors didn't. They throw up their hands like, how is she even doing this?
No shit, Vicki.
I loved it.
I think of that too.
Yeah. So I don't know. It was just really, really exciting for me. Now, it was a challenge to be with all those young kiddos in class. Sometimes they'd, I don't know. They'd be like, there's the old lady. You know what I'm saying?
I do, yeah.
So, I've already had enough bullying in my life. So I'm like, oh, God, now I'm going to get this. But that's all right. I'm a strong woman. Strong woman. So, all right. So,
yeah.
So I got through that.
Also, one of the things is, when you're paying for it out of pocket and you're older and you understand it and you're there to learn, some kids are not there to do that.
Yeah, it's all right. But then there were the other beautiful ones that inspired me.
Hell
so,
yeah.
You're always going to have both.
Yeah.
It's the way of the world. So I took the language and literature master's degree. It took me 3 years. So I graduated with that one in 2012. Started teaching that fall thanks to Dr. Copeland, beautiful man at the university. He's retired now. Kenneth Copeland, he's incredible. He's written a number of books. So anyway, I walked up to him and I said, I'd like to teach here. And I remember Dr. Copeland with his apple. He's taking a break. He's out in Baker Hall before they imploded it because it had asbestos. That's where all of our offices were, in the old Baker Hall. Okay. So he's walking on the hall with his apple eating. I said, Dr. Copeland, I would like to teach for the university. And he's like, okay. I think we can work this out.
Very cool.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So I got hired right then. Just that easy.
Well, you say that, but
yeah.
You put in the work before that, I'm sure.
Yeah, lots of work. So I started teaching in 2012, thanks to Dr. Copeland, and loved it, and started with language and literature, and teaching college writing research, teaching Cornerstone, and then I expanded into humanities, and that was my sweet spot. And then I went back in 2015. So I was off of school for 3 years, and I was so bored I couldn't stand it. So I went back.
Time to go back.
to get another master's.
When I win the lottery.
Yeah, there you go.
What are you going to go for?
Okay, wow. I want to go for psychology.
What about doctorate?
Okay, yeah.
Does that interest you?
Oh, yes.
Well, of course it does. Yeah.
Dr. St. James?
Yeah,
Are you kidding me?
I know. That would be so cool.
St. James was my radio name the first time around.
Yeah.
And then when I got divorced, I've been Smith, Eastman, Simpson. And then I'm like, I'm going back to radio. I'm going to adopt my radio name as my legal name. So that's what it is now. I went and got it changed.
Heck yeah.
And the judge is like, this is cool. I hope this works well for you. I
that.
love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then I went back in 2012, 2012 to get the master's in history, and graduated in 2017 with that master's in history. And I love everything that I've learned and love teaching. And now I'm kind of amalgamation of all those degrees in what I'm doing now as an editor.
Yeah.
And a variety of genres like historical fiction that I love reading and editing, sci-fi, you name it. I love to edit it. So, yeah.
So was that always a plan, or did that come about?
My son Jared said, "Mama, I need an editor for my PhD dissertation. Are you interested?"
Yeah.
And I did it. And this was he graduated with his PhD in 2017 at the end of my program. Rachel graduated from high school, and he and I graduated he got his PhD.
Very
I got
cool.
my master's all that summer, 2017. And I edited that PhD, and I was in paradise. I'm like, I need to do this. This is what fills my cup.
You loved it.
He loved it. So he got a couple of his friends. He's like, hey, my mom's editing.
Yeah, no,
right?
You are that's a great idea.
So we got the friends. I did all theirs. They've all got letters of testimony on my website, which is stjamesediting.com. And I just decided to throw my hat in the ring for like books and manuscripts too as well. And so I've done a number of them. And I just picked up a new one, started last night.
Very
this
cool.
Woman, she's brilliant. I told her, you for the future of literature.
That is awesome.
She
I'm
is.
happy for you.
So yeah, so I love
Heck
it.
yeah.
And I just get in my jammies. My kiddos bought me a laptop, so I'm more comfortable than sitting up at the home computer. Just my jammies on the couch, editing
Doing
for
what
all
you
hours.
love.
Heck, on Sunday I did it for 12 hours. I didn't mind it at all.
That is awesome. Well, I send you work, and I know how that goes.
Yeah.
Your turnaround time is amazing, and
Thank
it's always
you.
perfect.
But the one I worked on Sunday, you're going to want to read this. This is called The Shield Maidens, Warriors Through Time.
Yeah. Yep. With,
It is-
okay.
Jennifer Laughlin
Yeah.
Stevenson,
Who used to own
amazingly
Hicks Place.
brilliant woman. Pardon me?
Who had Hicks Place?
Yes, Hicks Place. Yes,
Yes,
of course,
yes.
you're friends.
Yes.
It's her magnus opus.
She is awesome.
Yes.
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 And you're getting to edit all of it.
All of it. Did I say magnum opus?
I don't even know what that is. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. It's like her best work ever.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
That right in our community,
Yep.
we have people doing those
Exactly.
things. Still
And-
creating.
Yes. And book number 2 starting. It's going to be a series of books. Shield Maiden books. Her magnum opus.
So explain, what does that mean? What's that meaning?
Well,
the meaning behind
magnum
that?
is, I think, is like the best possible, right? The biggest, magnanimous thing,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And then opus is, your expression of that.
It's a series of Viking.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's a series of Viking stories, tales.
Yes.
And
But it jumps time periods.
jumps
too?
time periods between
See,
the 60s
I'm a little bit hip.
and
I pay
70s.
attention
You
to what
are
you got
hip.
going on.
You're hip.
See?
And this woman is so brilliant. And so I told her last night, I miss your story. She's like, you do?
Time to
I'm
get
like, I
back in
do.
it. That's awesome.
She's like, it's okay, Vicki. I'm writing number 2 right now.
Very good.
So I'm teaching each one of these writers one at a time.
Yeah.
From home in my jammies.
Which is a pretty cool gig
Which is
to
cool.
have. Oh, yeah.
With my cats, because I'm kind of a crazy cat
Cat
lady.
lady? I know you have cats, and I used to not be a fan, but they've grown on. Cats have grown on
I
me.
love them.
They're skilled hunters. I like watching them
I know,
hunt
right?
flies and all that.
Oh, they're adorable.
Heck yeah.
I lost one recently.
I
but
saw
he's
that,
in
and you've had it
heaven.
for so long.
20. He was 20.
Which is wild.
Yeah. I loved him so much, and it was very hard. And yesterday I broke down crying. I thought something about him. I broke down crying. I'm driving. I'm like, I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. But it's tough
Grief
to lose.
stuff.
Yeah, it's tough.
Especially 20 years is a
Yeah,
long
20
time.
years. My others are 13 and 5.
Will you ever get more? Yeah, it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, matter of time.
Heck yeah. The only, we're running out of time. We could sit here all day.
Yeah, we could.
What about being a grandparent?
Oh,
That's got to feel good.
I love being a grandparent.
How are you encouraging education, reading, stuff with your grandkids nowadays when we have everything at our fingertips?
Right.
To still be
right.
important.
Exactly. So I've, bought them all a bazillion books. Like, for example, my 15-year-old granddaughter, Mackenzie, I bought her the full whole series of Laura Ingalls Wilder's Little House
Passed
books.
it on, huh, Vic?
Right?
Yeah.
Yep. And the same thing for my youngest daughter, Kaylee. She told me a favorite author, so I called up and they said, well, some of those are out of print, but we might be able to get them. I'm like, I need them.
Oh,
okay,
awesome.
I need them.
Yeah.
So every one of them goes to them. The same thing with my little grandson, Calvin, all these beautiful books. And we always play school.
Yeah.
I've played school with my grandchildren forever, and it's so much fun. I'm not the teacher. I'm the student.
Oh, really?
Yeah, oh, yeah. I want to be the student because I want to
That's
see how they
awesome.
teach.
Yeah.
And they do the most amazing things. But the first thing that they say is, all cell phones go in the basket, Grandma.
For real? That's
I
awesome.
know, right?
That's awesome.
So we play school, and yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
Have an amazing time.
Yeah.
But you are busy as heck where you're at in this stage in life.
Yeah, and I want to just say, I haven't talked much about being on the radio.
Yeah,
and
let's talk
Koloff
about it.
Media, my radio family.
You've came back and
I
you're
came
hosting a
back.
show.
Yes, my daily radio program, 2 to 6, Monday through Friday. And
Corn Country.
Yes, Corn Country,
Heck yeah.
106.5. And you can, around the world, you can download the app at 106.5 Corn Country from the App Store. It's free. Or just stream it at 106 or Iowa, Corn Country. So yeah, I mean, I absolutely love it. It's so much fun.
So how do you set up like a show every day? How do you keep it interesting?
Yeah. So it's another creative realm for me.
Okay.
And because I taught speech and all of that, I've always just loved how creative you can be with your voice.
Yeah.
Capture the imagination of the listener, right?
Absolutely.
Make it relevant to them. And it's fun to kind of listen to the responses. Like this one gentleman came up to me at Cornfest and said, Vicki, I need to meet you. He says, I love your tone of voice. I love the content you select, but you're going to think this is silly. My favorite part is your giggle.
For real? Yeah, because everybody has something, you know? Yeah.
I was like, oh, you're such a precious guy. So how do I come up with the content? Well, we subscribe to a number of, show prep services that, I go through, I read them, and then something sparks something else, right? I'll talk about that, but then I take it in a totally other direction. But what I love, I think the most is helping my clients, advertisers, businesses, like you were one of my clients for a long time.
Yep, heck yeah. And during Christmas, too.
Yes, and during Christmas. And we're going to do Christmas music again, so maybe you want to come back on for that.
I do love the Christmas music.
Yeah, there you go. So we're going to do that again this year. And we're going to have some fun giveaways we've not done before at Christmas.
Cool. Well, I've been a beneficiary. I won those pies.
Remember? Yes, you did
Amazing
win the pies from
Tri-Pie. Yes.
So to me, that's like just one of the best things about radio is that it's so integrated. It's free, local, it's live.
Yeah,
and
super
everybody
local
needs
here.
that, super local. Yeah. And so I've been able to help a number of businesses grow their business. And just met with Oak Ridge Realtors today. Bryn Mangridge, had a beautiful time with her over at Cabin Coffee, who's another one of my clients. And we're definitely going to be working together in the future. I'm going to put together some ideas for her, and she's very excited. So this, to me, is the best part of radio. Right?
Yeah.
Getting people, and of course, I'm going to recommend that her voice is on part of this. You did a beautiful commercial for us.
Yeah.
And your voice
that was
is
fun.
Gorgeous.
Coming in.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, it's real fun.
So we want to do some more things like that with you in the future if you're open to it.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I just love it because it's a family. The radio station is the Koloff Media.
So, you're
family.
at Koloff Media, and you have one show. There's more shows.
Yes, there's more.
Explain that a little bit
we
about
have
that.
4 stations from our Cedar Falls location. Jim Koloff, award-winning broadcaster, actually has 14 to 15 different locations throughout Northeast Iowa that he travels to. I don't know how he does it all. Thank God he's on vacation in Italy this week just to relax.
Taking some time off.
You got to relax, right? So bless his heart. And his son is actually our CFO. Which is very cool.
So it's a family affair.
Yeah, family
which
affair.
Is cool.
And I love
and
that.
Super local.
Love that. Nicholas, he's brilliant. So he's the one that writes our checks. Boom. So he's a sweetheart. So how that works is that we've got 4 locally. So we've got the sports station, which was originally the news talk station, which is how I got into radio because it was Jared's favorite, 1250 a.m.
Gotcha.
So now it is 1650 a.m. That 1250 went to KCFI, which is cruising the oldies now.
Gotcha.
So Cruising the Oldies is 12:50 a.m. and then on the FM dial it's simulcast at 105.1 FM. It's Cruising the Oldies, and then we also have back to the sports station. Now it's 1650, but we've also launched the 102.3 FM for sports.
Okay.
All sports all the time. Then
so
we have,
that will be local sports?
Yes, well, and national.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have the Cubs,
very cool.
which we're very proud of having the Cubs. But listen to what
Cardinals
we just got. We just got the University of Northern Iowa Panthers.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Oh, we are thrilled. Yeah. They came to us.
Very cool.
Because we're dissatisfied with someone else. That's fine. It's all good for us.
Heck yeah.
So they called us up and said, hey, we want you guys. Yeah. So I have all on my station, which is 106.5 Corn Country, all the women's sports, basketball, volleyball, everything. Then all the men are on my sister station 93.5 The Mix, which was formerly Mix 96 that I started with.
Yeah.
And they just moved down the dial maybe 12 years ago to 93.5 The Mix.
So will you be covering women's sports too then?
I personally, they have their own group and people, but the games, I might intro them, but they go on at pretty much nights and weekends when I'm not on.
Yeah.
So once in a while they overlap, but no, I won't have the opportunity or the pleasure to do that. However, I was able to bring on advertisers, and all 4 are female-owned businesses that are advertising these games.
That's gotta feel good too.
Oh, I'm loving it.
Very cool.
Yeah, or they're co-owners with their husband, but they're the women that are really in charge of their businesses, and they're like, Vicki, we want to be with the Lady Panthers. We just want to do it. So
and be a part of the community and part of that
part
excitement.
of the community. So it's a beautiful thing that I get all those girls on my station, and they every once in a while will make a new commercial where all the girls say, "Hey, come watch us! You know, the Panthers. You and I go Panthers!" And it just does my heart so good to hear it on the station.
Yeah.
We're so grateful for that partnership.
Yeah, that's a cool one.
Yeah,
that's a good one to have.
And all the men on 93.5 The Mix. So did we cover them all? 93.5 The Mix, 105.1 or 105.1 Cruising the Oldies, Corn Country, and then the sports station.
Yeah.
That's all the four of them. And so they're looks like a little house, and we all have different rooms.
And it's and they're all different, have a little bit different theme and a feel.
Right.
It's so cool. Yeah, getting to tour that place.
Absolutely. Well, you need to come back. And would you do me an honor and pleasure of maybe co-hosting one day?
Someday, maybe. Yeah, heck yeah.
I mean, not that far in the... I have an opening in November.
Okay.
For one day.
All right.
Would you do it?
We'll make it happen.
Oh,
yay!
Make it happen. All right. You heard it here.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Yes.
Well, yeah, all the stuff that you have given me opportunities to do. We have the school thing coming up at the end of September.
Yes. Career Inspire with the Waterloo School District in Junior Achievement.
Yeah. We're going to teach them how to podcast.
Yes. You're going to do podcasts. I'm doing radio.
Oh, yeah.
I did it last year, and those kiddos, I taught them how to do radio, and I took the five to six best, and they're still on our website. You can hear them. So I teach them in small groups and how to be on the radio. What I told them was, imagine that a nonprofit organization is struggling. What do you do to help them? And their little minds just went to work.
Yeah.
We're going to do this. We're going to do this.
Heck yeah.
And then they'd record it as if they're solving that problem for a nonprofit.
Yeah. You never know who the next radio host is going to be that went there when you were helping out.
That's right. You never know. So we get that next week, the 28th and the 29th. So there's always something fun going on.
Always. And then you're emceeing all over the place and all these concert series.
Emceeing. I love emceeing. And so even for Career Inspire, a bunch of them said, Vicki, we need you to be our public speaker at Career Inspire because it's so natural. So I'm going to do it.
Heck yeah.
They sent me, they said, how do you do that? I said, if you give me a small paragraph, and then I just take it from there extemporaneously. And they're like, yes.
Yeah, exactly what we want to hear.
Okay. I just like to talk.
Yeah.
Right?
Me too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You can't get out of here without doing this or that. So
I love that.
Yeah, the firing range.
That's so much fun.
This episode of the firing range is brought to you by Pixel Labs. Thank you, Zach and Sam, for allowing me housing me in this amazing, beautiful podcast studio. Without any further ado, are you ready for your first one?
I'm ready.
They're going to be kind of tough, I think, some of them for you to pick, but you have to pick one.
I will.
Okay. Are you a fan of reading the most or writing? You have to choose one.
Oh, that's tough.
I know, just one. If you could do the rest of your life, are you going to read or write?
Read.
Okay. Are you city or country girl?
Country.
Fall or summer?
Summer.
TV or radio? Which
radio.
one are you taking? Shower or a bath?
Shower.
Savory or sweet?
Sweet.
Are you going to take having kids again or being a grandma and having grandkids?
I can't
Which
have
era?
Children. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, which era would you rather redo?
One.
Children or grandma?
Children.
Okay. Dogs or cats?
Cats.
I knew that one. Travel or are you staying at home?
It depends on who our travel partners are.
You have to pick one or the other. Would you rather if you got to pick?
Travel.
And the last one for today, Vicki. Are you an adventurer or are you choosing to have relaxation?
Adventurer.
I knew it.
Is that even a question?
No. Thank you so much for taking the time to sit down. Your kid's success speaks for how well an amazing job you did as a parent. Yes, and like I shared with you, when I got out of the military, I was having a hard time in my life, and you met me with love, and I didn't even know that somebody could be such a kind person. So to see that firsthand, thank you so much for taking the time.
My pleasure and my honor.
Oh, geez. I am honored for you to be here.
Oh, thank you. Love you.
Have a great day.
Thank
I love you too, babe.
Thank you so much.